All right, welcome everyone. मेरे साथ हैं पंकज पांडे सर एंड दिस वाज येट अनदर ग्रीन वीक फॉर अस. निफ्टी ने इन्वेस्टर्स को बहुत ही खुश किया है. तो सर क्या हुआ ये, मतलब जज्बात हर वीक ऑन वीक हम लोगों के आई थिंक रिवॉल्व हो रहे हैं, रोटेट हो रहे हैं. सो व्हाट हैपेंड दिस वीक सर?
So hi, good evening, Vishu. I think yes, like you said, there's what badal gaye hain, and I think what is clearly coming out is that largely see all this is related to the anxiety around result outcome, and so that is keeping the market volatile. But good part is that this week market have seen a dramatic turnaround, 2% higher, and good part is that market was consolidating for the past 2 months around 1,000 point ka range mein. Now that has sort of broken out, so which is why I feel that 23,400 is on the cards. And typically, election years have been good for the markets. And even when you look at it from a decadal perspective, so 10 साल में जो चौथा साल होता है वो जनरली पॉजिटिव होता है, 15-17% का रिटर्न आता है. एंड आई थिंक तो ओवरऑल बिगर पिक्चर ये है कि जब एंजाइटी related to election outcome subsides, then I think markets are going to sort of do well. Earning season has been sort of doing fairly fine. So, which is why we are quite confident that 25,000 is very much on the card for this year. And in the near term, 23,400 looks good. And I think besides that, news flows वगैरह भी काफी positive थे. तो plus crude oil में थोड़ा एक correction आया, तो which again is positive for us. So all in all, going has been good for the markets, and yes, a dramatic turnaround of sentiments this week.
Right, absolutely, sir. So I think another surprise was RBI dividend. I mean, I read somewhere the dividend that the amount that has been paid to the government, 2.11 lakh crores. This is more than the entire dividend that is paid by companies to the stock market companies to the at large. So
Absolutely. I think thanks to US interest rate being higher, I think RBI is also sort of making good money. And which is why, despite increasing the risk buffer from say 6 to 6.5%, yet they have paid one of the highest dividends to the government at 2.11 lakh crores. Now, this amount is very significant. I mean, our government can use it in this in multiple ways. So, एक तो ये कि आप 0.3% of your fiscal GDP आप अपना या fiscal deficit कम कर सकते हैं, या फिर आप जो capex कर रहे हैं वो capex आप 0.3% पे बढ़ा सकते हैं. So that way एक काफी पॉजिटिव है. एंड इसका जो रब ऑफ है इज ऑल्सो फेल्ट इन दी लिक्विडिटी साइड, बिकॉज बैंकिंग सिस्टम में जो लिक्विडिटी थे वो वाज इन डेफिसिट. सो ऑब्वियसली इट इज गोइंग टू हेल्प. एंड बीच में अगर आप देखिए एसबीआई वगैरह ने शॉर्ट टर्म रेट वगैरह बढ़ाए थे, एंड आगे जाके जो एक्सपेक्टेशन है कि विद सॉफ्टर शॉर्ट टर्म रेट्स, आई थिंक वो बैंक्स के लिए भी पॉजिटिव होगा. एंड उसका एक आफ्टर इफेक्ट ये हुआ कि एफआई का स्टांस कहीं ना कहीं बदल गया. एफआई अगर आप देखें अप्रैल से अब तक करीब 50,000 करोड़ इज व्हाट दे हैड सोल्ड, but Thursday they bought 4,500 crores, and with the kind of covering moves what we have seen, I think banking has been one sector जहां से वो काफी एग्जिट कर रहे थे, वहां पे एक रिवर्सल आया. जनरली एक अच्छी चीज मैं मानूंगा, बिकॉज बैंकिंग इज ऑब्वियसली अ हैवीवेट सेक्टर. इट नीड्स टू परफॉर्म फॉर निफ्टी टू सॉर्ट ऑफ हेड हायर. सो आई थिंक एक आरबीआई का जो न्यूज है हैज बीन द टॉक ऑफ द टाउन, एंड इसने पूरा मूड और ओवरऑल सेंटिमेंट चेंज कर दिया. वन मोर थिंग विच इज हैपेंड इज कि आपके जो यील्ड्स थे 10 ईयर वो भी डिक्लाइन हो गए. तो करीब यील्ड जो थे 7% के नीचे चले गए थे. एंड अगले महीने से आपको ओवरऑल बॉन्ड के इनफ्लोज मिलना चालू हो जाएंगे. एंड काफी एक्सपेक्टेशन एटलीस्ट हमारी है कि $2 billion का मंथली इनफ्लोज आएगा. So your bond yields are also going to probably decline to 6.5%, and thanks to obviously good monsoon as well. तो वो पीएसयू बैंक के लिए पॉजिटिव है. तो ऑल इन ऑल आई थिंक इंडिया के लिए थिंग्स आर सॉर्ट ऑफ फॉलिंग इन प्लेस. क्रूड आल्सो हैज कम डाउन, सो इन्फ्लेशन एंड मॉनसून आर नॉट अ वरी. So I think good run continues for the market, and I am keeping my fingers crossed for it to sort of run further.
right. So talking about this run, I think for the past few months, or we can say year, matlab, अब now turning into years, defense has been one of the most talked sectors. So the grounds are green. What is happening in defense now?
So I think defense is seeing a lot more greenery. I mean, we've seen good amount of re-rating for these companies, and I think the run does not stop for these companies. I mean, you look at all these companies, be it HAL, Bharat Electronics, or the shipyard companies, be it Mazagon Dock or Cochin Shipyard, all of them have got good order backlog, plus the prospect for next 3 to 5 years look good. And what we've also seen is that the whenever the results which are sort of come out, I mean, HL has already seen margin increase. Bharat Electronics numbers had come, so that also witnessed a margin increase of nearly 200 bips. And I think good part is that when you look at some of these names, so for example, HL, we have been positive, so we have revised our target to 5,700. Because while they are sitting on an order book of say 94,000 odd crores, but for them the prospect is another 2 lakh crores. Similarly, when you look at even for Bharat Electronics, they're sitting on an order book of say 70,000 odd crores, and they are talking of something similar kind of order inflows in next 2 years. So order inflows continue to remain good, and I think some of the comments even from the defense minister has also been helping. So, for example, we had given a buy on Cochin Shipyard because the perspective was that we'll be ordering a third aircraft carrier, which could be in the range of say 40 to 50,000 odd crores. And now the defense minister is saying that three is not the number they are going to probably stop at. That number could be higher at say 5, 6. So I think all these comments usually sort of is increasing the overall prospects of the sector, and which is why this re-rating continues. I wish there's some bit of a profit taking which happens, so because that will make these stocks healthy. Let's hope it happens. But I think the prospects for these companies continue to remain very good. I only hope that they don't run so fast, because we've seen stocks like I mean, for example, I think some of these names rallying 40-50%, even more. Cochin Shipyard has actually, I think, doubled in a very short span of time. So good things are there, but I think the pace probably needs to slow down. Things are good, but not so good also for prices to double in a short span of time.
Right. Right, sir. Sir, while we talk of defense, another structure that I think even the government has been very bullish on this sector in terms of infrastructure is roads. So we have been building roads everywhere. So what's happening? I think a lot of people have that doubt ki what's happening in this sector, and how can we
So
play
what? So one is see in road the various kinds of organizations are there. So one is the NHI, which does now NHI ordering and tendering has been weaker this year because it's an election year. So which is why. But it's not only HN, National Highway Authority, which does the ordering. You have state road transport corporations, which also sort of come up with. So Maharashtra recently came up with a good amount of tender. So we've seen companies like HEG Infra bagging projects worth 4,000 crores. PNC also closer to 5,000 odd crores, and GR also bagging something similar kind of a number. So you have state governments also sort of doing a bit of ordering for the respective projects, and which is why this was one segment which we have been liking for some time, but was not doing much of a price performance. But luckily, if you look at it in the last 1 month, these stocks have given good double-digit kind of a returns. Now, our sense is that once we get the new government, and after that the budget gets announced, then our sense is that the announcement overall should pick up pace. So, for example, NHAI has already got a pipeline of some 6,000 odd kilometers, so which is 1.5 lakh crores, which needs to be ordered. Similarly, I mean, it's not only for this year. The pipeline in the overall road is also very quite good. So you're talking of high-speed corridors of say 15,000 odd kilometers. I mean, mind you, I mean, Delhi Mumbai is one which is already a good amount of capex is being sort of spent. So fairly large amount of money, 15-16 lakh crore is what the government is looking at over the next few years. So road as an opportunity this year has been dull, but I think is expected to pick up and post election. What we are liking in terms of stock is say one is PNC. It has rallied, so I think we will review our target prices once the earnings come out. But that is one company which has been doing good. Then KNR is another company. While it has not done much in terms of price performance, because it's very selective in terms of what project it takes. They are very margin sensitive. And then there is HEG Infra, which also has rallied, but it can be obviously bought on dip. So all these three companies are looking good to us.
Right. Awesome. Sir, I think quite a few reports have come from our side on cement sector as well. I saw JK Cement this week. ACC was making the rounds around in the news. So what's happening in this sector, sir?
So cement sector, you don't see much of a price performance because what has happened is that the volume growth in the sector is good. I mean, you look at all these companies which have come out with numbers, the volume growth is about 13 odd percent. Most of the companies are in capacity expansion mode, so volume growth is good. Now, the only challenge this quarter, what companies have faced is that the realizations have been down. On an average, it's down about 5%. But in southern states, it is down about, say, 10%. So, which is why you see numbers for Dalmia or Ramco being softer. And which is why the margin improvement quarter on quarter has not yet happened. But compared to last year, things have improved because last year was one of the worst years for them. But our sense is that probably next 2-3 months, nothing may happen because it typically cement activity or construction activity sort of slows down during the monsoon season. But post that is when it sort of picks up. But our sense is that the stock price movement can start happening whenever around the budget time. So 1 month after the election outcome, you see the budget coming up. And during that time, our sense is that the companies should start seeing a decent amount of overall price appreciation as well. So if somebody needs to buy, I think probably this is the right time to sort of buy this segment because this is one sector which has not done much in terms of price performance, largely because pricing has been soft. But I think structurally there is no major weakness we see. So we are quite positive on this companies, and some of the companies which you have recommended for buys, one obviously is ACC, then you have Ambuja and Ultratech and JK Cement. So cement as a space is looking good to us.
Right. Sir, talking about now, since we are covering sectors itself, I think tire space is also heating up a little bit. So what's happening there, sir?
So tire also is a very core sector because while we talk of two-wheeler and four-wheeler tires, the maximum consumption happens in the medium and heavy commercial segment. And tire as a segment has done well earlier, but of late what has happened was that the natural rubber prices had gone up, the crude had sort of also gone up. So that gave a fear that probably margin profile for these companies would weaken. And then obviously the export segment was also sort of not doing good. But I think what we are picking now is that companies are consciously looking to sort of high prices. So they're going to maintain their mid-teen kind of a margins. And I think a good part is that crude has also sort of corrected from the peak about 10 odd percent. And we've seen some of the companies coming out with good set of numbers. So, for example, Balkrishna Industry, which is a sort of a global player, they've got 5-6% kind of a market share. They're aiming for a 10% kind of a market share. I think this is the first time they're seeing a decent amount of growth on the export front. Margins also have expanded for them. And I think not only this company, even JK Tire also has come out with a decent set of numbers. This is one company which is quite attractive on the valuation front. They are doing the debt reduction side. So both BKT and JK Tire are looking good to us. But overall, the comfort what we are drawing is that the companies are willing to take price hikes and they will be able to maintain the mid-teen kind of a margins. Otherwise, historically, tire has seen a very volatile margin. I mean, there was a period in time when they used to make 5-6% kind of a margin. But now you see most of the companies are clocking decent set of margins. Domestic growth is good. Export is also picking up. And hopefully, if the infra as a spend continues, I think this is another sector we should do well. And price correction has also happened. So that way, I think this sector is also poised to sort of, or segment or sub-segment is poised to do well.
Right, sir. Sir, next up, my question is on pharma sector. What's happening there?
So pharma, I think when you sort of look at so domestic growth is okay for the companies because 8 to 10% kind is the kind of growth what they've done. I think the bigger worry was on the US front, but we've seen that ample results, Beatsan, DRL, Cipla, Zydus, Lupin. So all of them combined together, they've seen growth in the US market. The growth has been about 10 odd percent, and most of the companies are shifting their models from the generic to to specialized products or specialty launches or complex products, where the margin profile is also better. But for that, you need to sort of do higher R&D spend. So what is clearly coming out is that one, they are doing a higher R&D spend. So that might sort of have some implications for margins in the near term. But overall, I think they're seeing a better runway for growth in key markets like US. So while we have seen a good run up in the prices, but any kind of a dip can be used as an opportunity. What we are liking is something like Cipla, which is sort of guiding for a very strong set of margins. And any kind of a weakness, even in DRL, looks as a decent opportunity. So pharma is one sector which is started to sort of witnessing a revival in bits and pieces. So US segment has started to sort of recover. CRAMS as a segment is witnessing a lot more inquiries, while the numbers are yet to sort of pick up. So that way, pharma is another sleeping sector which is about to sort of wake up.
Right, sir. And sir, finally, of course, we have to have your weekly gem that we have.
So on the hidden gem, what we are recommending is Philips Carbon Black. Now, like I said, tire is one sector which is looking good to us, not only domestically but globally also. Now, Philips Carbon Black manufactures carbon black, which is used as a reinforcing material in tires. Now, this company is sounding very confident. The numbers are already out. So while they had expanded their capacity by 1.5 lakh tons, with a capex of 800 odd crores, and we were sensing that they'll be fully able to utilize this capacity by FY26. Now they're saying that they'll be able to utilize this capacity by FY25, 1 year before. On top of it, they are also talking of a new greenfield plant. So from that perspective, the scenario, especially on the export front, is sort of changing for good, and which is why I feel that the volume growth for this company is going to be good at 12%. Margin profile has been good, so they are clocking 20,000 plus EBITDA per ton. While we are not taking more expansion, which is very much possible because the specialty grade what they make, which is used in the other segment, commands better margin. But I think what we are liking is the kind of a renewed vigor for capex, which this company has announced, and the kind of confidence what they're showing in terms of export market picking up. Because going forward, our sense is that the export is going to contribute somewhere about 42% of their top line by FY26. Mind you, this was about 27% in 21. And then their acquisition is also sort of shaping up well. So from that perspective, no major worries. The stock is quite attractive at 12 multiple. So I think valuation भी सस्ता है. So that way, I think जो एक कम फैक्टर देखते थे कि चाइना +1 है, I think कहीं ना कहीं वो फैक्टर प्लेन आउट हो रहा है. कुछ रशिया +1 भी है, because Russia is considered to be a big player on the carbon black side. So कहीं ना कहीं overall ये जो भी rub off हो रहा है वो Indian companies के लिए positive हो रहा है, and I think export as an opportunity is shaping up well for a lot of companies, including this.
Well, this was awesome. Thank you so much once again, sir, for taking out time for us and helping us navigate through the markets. We'll be back next week to trouble you again and learn more from you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risk. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.